person interested in football and soccer, it's highly likely you've seen or heard about Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso, a quirky, collegiate American football coach, was first introduced to us a few years ago in a few TV spoofs when NBC secured the broadcast rights to the English Premier League here in the US. In 2020, the unassuming, soccer-naive, comedic sketch character came to life in his own hit show. Hello everyone, this is Rev Brad, and you're listening to the Soccer Chaplains United podcast from the Touchline. As a football chaplain of some 20 years, I thought I would share some lessons from Ted Lasso. Now, just a quick caveat. I've listened to a couple things about Ted Lasso, namely some of the influences and resemblances from John Wooden's coaching philosophy. I know about some of those things, but I've purposely stayed away from listening to too much of the commentary around the show, other than a Brene Brown podcast with show actors and producers Jason Sudeikis and Brendan Hunt. I don't want to over-spiritualize or idolize Ted Lasso, but I do want to offer a chaplain's view into some of the positive pieces from what we see on the screen that I believe are largely missing from the game and sorely, sorely needed. So whether you're an athlete, a coach, a staffer with a beautiful game, I think this series will be fun, creative, and have a little bit of everything for everyone around the game. One other note, I'm recording a bunch of these episodes so that during busy points in the MLS season, there can still be a weekly podcast even if I can't get a guest or have a particular topic. So if you're listening regularly, when you hear the Ted Lasso theme music at the start of the pod, you can go ahead and skip forward to the 2.5-minute mark and skip this intro and our typical podcast theme roll. Thank you for listening to the From the Touchline podcast. Here we go with a lesson from Ted Lasso.
Space, and he's found the back of the net.
Just a little off foot, thinking he's going to go far post. Not strong enough with his right hand.
Whips that one in. Far post, almost made him ends, and they have. He has the hat-trick. The second in his career. The third of the night. The hat-trick hero.
Talked about you're not going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure.
To the corner. Goes towards the near post, and you're the angle, and what a goal! What a goal!
Still in episode 1, we soon come to realize that Coach Lasso has an uphill battle. He's not really been brought in to help AFC Richmond turn things around. He's really been brought in to be a scapegoat for its eventual destruction. Wealthy divorcee owner Rebecca, now the sole owner of the club, wants to get back at her ex-husband by destroying the thing that was most precious to him. We watch the late-night scene unfold in the car park as Rebecca solicits support from her nervous Higgins, with a new lucrative title and a job which promises a substantial wage increase. Higgins isn't sure he can stomach what lies ahead. His sense is that Ted Lasso is a genuinely good guy. So we see this interaction between Rebecca and Coach Lasso as they drive away. Rebecca shouts, "You're a godsend, Ted Lasso." "Takes one to know one," is the somewhat awkward retort from Coach. I say somewhat awkward because we don't expect such a reply. Lasso seems to me, at least at this point, a bit aloof, obtuse to the attitudes of the people around him. Whether it's the offhanded comments from Keeley, the continual undermining by Rebecca, the disrespect from the players in the locker room, Lasso seems impervious to all of these attacks, subtle and not so subtle. But in truth, Ted Lasso isn't as unaware as we feel he lets on. I think he's actually practicing a principle that Jesus taught us to practice as followers of him, as Christian believers. Now, are the creators writing this into Lasso's character? Probably not. But again, I want to comment on Lasso from a chaplain perspective and a perspective that is decidedly Christian. Jesus, in the well-known Sermon on the Mount, in one part of his message, recorded by the gospel writer Matthew, he tells the people gathered around, "You have heard it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." You can find that in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 44. Luke records Jesus' same words a little differently. "But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you." That's in Luke 6, 27 and 28. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Sit with those words for a moment. This is a mandate for people who follow Jesus. But it's not a bad one for anyone involved in football. And there are plenty of ways and times to practice this. It seems to me that Lasso embodies this. Maybe he's simply naive, or maybe he's really aware of the opposition. But Coach Lasso seems unfazed by the ridicule, the scorn, the adversity. He seems to see past all of it, and he shows love and genuine concern for the person, whatever person he's in front of at the moment. From the wealthy club owner to the young girl kicking a football in the local park in town. Station doesn't matter. Lasso shows love. To be honest, in football, there are some really difficult stories. Yes, soccer is a close-knit family, but there's some bad blood out there. Soccer's political. And at the higher levels of the game, it's cutthroat. And there's a tremendous amount of hurt and pain that's gone on unchecked, unresolved, unforgiven. Sexual and marital infidelity, lies about wages and contracts, character assaults and assassinations, blacklists, fraud. The list of unethical and immoral things in football is too long. But what if people in football, especially Jesus-following people, started to do this? What if they started to love their enemies and to do good to those who were hurting or trying to hurt them? Whether you're an athlete, a coach, a staff member, an executive, or an owner, what if you started loving your enemies and doing good to those who hate you? It might make all the difference in the world. Well, thanks for listening to this lesson from Ted Lasso. This is Reb Brad coming to you from the touchline.